Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Peter Barber. I am primarily a professional opera singer, music producer, and of course a bass vocalist. Today we're going to be checking out, and forgive me on the pronunciation, I would love to hear someone in the comment section like phonetically type this out for me, Tandingan, because if I read it like I was from America in the South, it'd be Tandingan. I don't think that's right. So Tandingan, that's my best guess. From what I hear, a wonderful Filipino singer. I've been covering a lot of amazing Filipino artists lately. A lot of singers on the Wish Bus. I know this artist has also performed on the Wish Bus. All crazy, crazy talented and really fun to react to and analyze what's going on. So that is primarily what I do on this channel, guys. I do a lot of vocal analysis using my expertise as a professional singer. My main goal here is to educate first and entertain second, so you will get a first-time reaction, but I also will be pausing often to analyze the voice, analyze the music, analyze the artistic choices, and with my goal really being to bring as much value to your guys' listening experience. I want you to learn about the voice and appreciate these amazing singers as much as they deserve it. And that's really my main goal here, is to educate and have you guys appreciate this music and enjoy this music more. Please do like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment for the algorithm. It could be as simple as saying, hey, what's up, Peter? Or I love this artist, or you should check out this song. Doesn't matter. All good for the algorithm. And lastly, if I am bringing value to your listening experience, if you find yourself enjoying this music more and learning things, please do consider joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. That is the best possible way to support me as a creator, artist, performer, all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's check out Tandingan sing Rolling in the Deep, originally by Adele, from some kind of singer game show. I'm guessing maybe somewhat like The Voice or you know, something like that. I don't really know the context here, but it is a live performance, and I'm very excited to break down what's going on vocally and see what insights I can pull from this. And I hope you guys learned something. Yeah, let's get to it. Before we get started, I want to say that I started playing guitar like a couple months ago, and I have just so much newfound appreciation for guitarists. So quick flag there. Just want to say shout out to guitar players. It is a really tricky instrument. It's taking a lot of time to even play very rudimentary things. So shout out to you guys. Let's keep going.
We could have had it.
Hey, come on, my girl.
Interesting. Okay, so this is a live performance, but there's obviously, you know, real-time auto-tuning happening. This is not because the singer can't sing in tune. This is a very obvious artistic and stylistic choice, much like how T-Pain used to use auto-tune. It wasn't because the guy can't sing in tune. If you watch his Tiny Desk concert, you see that he sings very well in tune. He's a very good singer, but it's a stylistic thing. So interesting start. I wonder if that will continue or if that's just during this intro.
Rolling in the deep.
It's a really fascinating soundscape, though. Either way.
You had my heart inside.
Let's go back. I mean, there's so many obvious radical differences between the original and this, which is great. I think I've talked about this before. If you do a cover of a song, a cover style performance, either you want to take the original song and do something similar but put your own spin on it, meaning like change the melody a little bit, change the delivery of the text a little bit. A lot of the songs I've been covering lately on this channel have been or making videos for lately have been cover songs, and in that way, like I made a video. By the time this comes out, my video on Chakra Khan's Tennessee Whiskey will come out. That's like a, you know, bar for bar, very similar to the original, but with his own interpretation, his own riffs, his own additions, and, you know, changing of the delivery of the text and so forth. So either you do that, or you take a song and completely turn it on its head and do a completely different genre, a completely different style, which is what we're getting here. This is so radically different in every way from the Adele version, from the vocal delivery to the composition. I mean, the breakdown of the instrumental composition, like the actual arrangement instrumentally. Obviously, the stylistic auto-tune, radically different. And the tempo, the speed, everything is completely different from the original.
You had my heart inside of your hand.
I want to hear if it's really interesting how auto-tuning deals with vibrato, because I think I heard it and it sounded, because the pitch can't, because in vibrato, the pitch actually does oscillate a fair amount. But with auto-tune, that doesn't really work. So it sounds more like the note is just kind of shimmering as opposed to actually oscillating. Right there, that pitch. Inside. So you could tell the vibrato was going to come in on inside, but the auto-tune flattened it to where it just sounds like the note is shimmering, but it's not actually going up and down in pitch. That's weird. I'm not sure I've heard that before.
And you played it.
So there was a note. So that one, I think, that first time she said, "You played it," you played it. That vibrato actually registered as different pitches because the pitch oscillation was wide enough.
And you played it.
You see how it went to that like really rapid switch in pitch because the vibrato was actually wide enough at that point to trigger the different pitches with the auto-tune as opposed to the first one where it didn't, the oscillation wasn't wide enough, and so it didn't trigger the change in pitch in the auto-tune, so it just stayed and kind of shimmered. That's a really interesting distinction there.
You played it.
Let me hear this one more time.
You played it. You played it. You played, yeah,
So we're up to a C. So it's tenor high C for a second, and then she sustained that B4 just below tenor high C on a nice, really clean belt. Hard to tell how clean exactly with the auto-tune, but it sounds like she's got plenty of control and comfort in that part of her range, which is getting up into the, you know, the higher. Well, it's not really super high belt yet, but it's getting up towards the high belt range. To remain singing in a pure chest voice, you know, not a head voice, not a falsetto, not a mix, just a pure chest belt. Once you get up to tenor high C, even for a female voice, that is still getting high, and for an untrained singer, that's very high. But for a trained singer, it's getting there. It's getting there. So these little interludes, when singers do kind of these little riffs or whatever, these kind of motifs on like a or an ooh during like a breakdown section, a part of me always wonders how much is planned and how much they're making up on the spot, because a talented singer who knows how to riff and really control their voice, like this singer obviously does, you can just make stuff up on the spot, and it's very likely to be accurate and work because it becomes part of your your programming as an artist, or you know, part of your muscle memory essentially, to be able to improv new riffs, new motifs, new phrases on the spot and have it actually fit well within the context of everything else that's happening. So I always wonder during these breakdowns, as she's doing these like ums and oohs and whatever before the text comes back in, like what is planned and what she's just kind of feeling in the moment. Like that little motif, like how much of that is just what she's feeling in the moment and how much of that is planned. It seems pretty improv to me. Like whatever she's feeling. I would not, like short of hearing the text in the beginning, I would never know this song is Rolling in the Deep. Like now we've got a brass section. Obviously we've got drums that have come in. We've got this very prominent bass guitar line. Again, just like piggybacking off what I said earlier, just so radically different from the original to the point where you wouldn't even, there's no way you'd recognize this song as Rolling in the Deep by Adele. And I love it. I am here for it. I am here for taking a song and saying, you did it that way, I'm going to do it this way. Like I'm going to do it completely differently to the point where you have no idea aside from the text. Absolutely love it. So I don't know if this is KZ's doing or if this is the producers of the show's doing or who wrote the arrangement or what, but my hat is always off to people that just go for it with an arrangement in their artistry. Voice play. This is why voice play is my favorite a cappella group, is because their arrangements are so creative and they go for it and they take risks. And sometimes it works really well. Sometimes it doesn't work so well, depending on your preference of that artistic choice. It's all subjective, obviously. But they go for it. And so I love it when an artist goes for it. One more artist I'll mention briefly before I get off this soapbox. An artist that I have really fallen for lately, Gigi Delana, is like one of my favorite singers on the planet because just a phenomenal 10 out of 10 singer, both with skill and control and agility. But she the first piece I heard by her was on her cover of Unholy by Sam Smith. And I was just like, this is an artist that just took this song and like took the kind of dark edginess and then went all the way to 100 with it. So big shout out to Gigi. By the time this comes out, I did this will have come out probably a few days ago, a 50-minute reaction and analysis video for her Through the Fire and Piano in the Dark back-to-back set she does. 50 minutes, because there was just so much to talk about musically and artistically. So I have huge respect for her. Anyway, all that to say, I respect this arrangement and I'm here for it. So I think the auto-tune is now turned off. Yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So now I recognize at least there's a familiar enough delivery of the text compared to the originals, and now we can tell there's a fire. Like that's how Adele delivered it. Now Casey's doing it with her own flair, and she's adding more. It's like a little more. Adele's is like this, and Casey's is like this. She's like adding more percussion to her singing style to kind of match this like punchy arrangement that's going on in the background instrumentation. So it all lines up super well. Vocally, let's see. I love it. So there's a fire. So it's already in the first phrase, we have a number of different vocal colors, meaning she's changing the timbre, she's changing the amount of vocal fold closure, which comes down to breathiness versus purity of tone. High vocal fold closure, very pure, efficient tone. Low vocal fold closure, very breathy tone. Just within these first 3 seconds, we get a range of that from like mid closure to very low closure, to where like there's moderate amount of air coming through her vocal folds while she's singing, phonating, versus very low, where it's much more breathy and speech-like. Now what this does, the singer does this well, not only do we now have an arc to follow for the whole song as sectionally the song changes, but during each little phrase we go on a little journey, because we're getting so much contrast and variation, literally like phrase to phrase and even word to word sometimes. So it makes it, if you're paying close attention to that, it makes it very, very interesting to listen to, both on a micro scale and a more macro scale.
There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark.
Like reaching the fever pitch that's bringing me out to dark. And by the end of that phrase, she's almost off the voice completely. Whereas it starts out much higher vocal closure, ends much lower vocal closure.
My heart, reaching a fever pitch and it's bringing me out the dark. Finally, I can see you crystal clear. Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your shit bare. See how I live with every piece of you.
Again, you see how strong she comes out of the gate on see who. This is me in the morning with absolutely zero high notes. See how. So she comes out pretty strong there. So we're at that tenor high C again. So this is very comfortable for her, singing up to tenor high C. So I'll be interested if she's another one of those singers that can just belt up into the stratosphere. I keep getting my mind blown. First, I got my mind blown by So-hyung, and then by Gigi Delana. I just didn't realize people could belt that high. I just didn't realize it. So I continue to be impressed. And Morissette too is another one. I think I've heard her belt up to high E flat, maybe F, somewhere way up there. Very impressive, all these singers. So just to flag, again, that's another just great contrast of, I just wanted to point out, she comes out of the gate real strong, and then by the end of that phrase, again, it's back to that much more breath. It's a much more breathier sound, so we get that contrast of vocal timbres throughout that one phrase.
Go ahead and sell me out and I'll lay your shit bare. See how I live with every piece of you. Don't underestimate the things that I will do.
So this is great. This is, so like I said earlier about my opinion on covers and how they should be done, what makes a good cover. You see how now structurally it's a little more similar to the original, really, as far as I think tempo is about the same. I don't know about the key. I don't know what key Adele's original is in. Don't remember. But the text is similar enough to where you can feel the similarities. But KZ is changing the pitches a little bit, and she's changing the delivery of the text a fair amount, changing the rhythms of how that, the original poetry is actually delivered, which is great. And really, even if everything else was the same, that's like what you want as kind of a bare minimum for a good cover, is changing enough to where you make it your own. Like I said earlier, I won't repeat all that. She's doing a great job. And also, I always flag this when I hear singers sing live, and all these Filipino singers are phenomenal at it, is they sing so well in tune. It is really hard in this context, any live context, but a big performance like this, big soundscape, even with in-ear microphones, it's still tough to sing really well in tune. And she's also moving around the stage and like doing a little bit of choreography and stuff like that. It's very impressive, and she's singing so well in tune. Like basically the same as if it were a studio recording. It's really amazing. And as an opera singer, I mean, we sing live, nothing's edited, it's no microphones, no nothing. And so tuning is hyper important. You've got to be able to sing in tune when you're doing the staging and you're doing the acting and you're coordinating with the conductor, and all these elements are going on. So I always have immense respect for singers who sing really well in tune during live performance, especially when they're moving around and doing choreography. It just is a whole other element that you don't deal with in a number of performance settings.
See how I live with every piece of you. Don't
See, that's a cool addition. There's a fire. That's the original. There's a fire. What does she do there? A chromatic scale down from A flat, G flat. So how cool was that? Totally unexpected and totally changes the feeling of this moment in the song. More variation. It's all changed. She's changing the rhythms and the melodies slightly for pretty much every line of this song. And it all works because it matches what's happening in the background instrumentally. It matches this arrangement. So like if you go back and listen to Adele's original, listen to how Adele's style matches the background music, the background instrumentation of that original, and then compare it to how KZ's style of singing and delivery of text matches the background of her instrumentation that's supporting her in this performance. It's like a perfect, it's like a perfect, I don't even know, transformation. It's fascinating. So do yourself a favor, go check that out. It's like this almost like little duet that happens between her and this brass section. Almost had it all, and then I was like do 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 do, and the background horns are going almost like in between her notes. That was my trombone, which I used to play. Okay, I just want to flag. I love it when a singer can sing the same pitch for a while and keep it really interesting, because if you think about it, if you sing the same pitch over and over again, it could be really boring, right? Depending on the delivery. So if you have a performer that can do that and keep it really interesting, that's a good sign. Let's go. So this is just up to high A. So this is like very comfortable belt range for her. This is just getting up into like kind of the meaty part of what I would guess her belt range is. So very comfortable, only going up to A4. So the A below tenor high C, A above middle C. Very comfortable, and just you can tell this is just where she's got so much power and confidence and comfort in that sound. So where she can just perform and not even worry about vocally, no planning needed really. Just like, here it is, here you go. What? Okay. I was not expecting that at all. I quickly glanced at her Wikipedia page before this to try and figure out how to pronounce her name. And I saw rapper in there, but I had forgotten that until this moment. And not only rap, but like, I don't speak the language, obviously, but really fast rapping, like syllabically, just like it is being spit out. And it's very crisp, like it's not sloppy at all. It's like, okay, here are a million syllables back to back, all of which are sung or rapped crisply. That's a whole different skill from singing. Being able to rap. I grew up on rap and hip hop. I love rap. I always try to, rap from like Look at Me Now by Busta Rhymes, like learning that word for word and being able to do it. Like that's a part of my musical upbringing. It is a totally different skill to rap cleanly than it is to sing. totally different skill. So like the fact that she can do both, as far as I can tell, extremely well is very impressive. Just like a very versatile singer, rapper, artist, all that. Wow, I'm very impressed.
And you played it to the beat. Check this out, ha! Mga ginaming malulugod na mga propeta, pilit kong pinapasa. Dala ko ng mga kargada, papatunayan lang na di ka na makagalaw sa kung ang silitan. Hindi mo na matatagalin ng mga babala. Ito ang simula, yo!
Jesus.
Parang sakit na kumikirot, binabalak ka magtunggali mo na oy kumukulupot. Ngayon ang tindihan man na ta, malaking pagkakamali na ako pang binangga. Abangan ng mga talata, sa mga binitawan ko na liriko. Di mo na makakayanan nito, binabato ka ng mga salita para di ka na makakagalaw. Katakataka na napakalakas ang pinakamalapit na kanyakatakutan, pinakamalahas.
Those triplets. It's like that fast. That's how fast she was rapping, but with words instead of beatboxing.
Ako pang binangga, abangan ng mga talata, sa mga binitawan ko na liriko. Di mo na makakayanan nito, binabato ka ng mga salita para di ka na makakagalaw. Katakataka na napakalakas ang pinakamalapit na kanyakatakutan, pinakamalahas. Ladies and gentlemen!
And clearly very comfortable on stage. Very comfy up there. What a cool band. Like, what a cool assortment of instruments, too. Whew. Whoa. That was a lot that I was not expecting, and I'm here for all of it. This is a fascinating performance. So there's a lot to talk about. That rap section, I mean, like, so the tongue is actually what produces most vowel shapes. Like, that's why you can sing and be understood if you, like, your mouth's almost, like, if I just stop moving my mouth entirely, you can still totally understand what I'm saying. It's because of how much influence the tongue has on the vowels and speech. It's the most important function of speech that we use. And you have to have a really athletic tongue to rap really fast, because the tongue, if it's when the tongue gets tripped up that you get sloppy. So Casey has a very athletic tongue. Props. So that's just one point about the rap and why it's different from singing in a lot of ways. Singing, the tongue generally, unless you're doing in opera, especially Italian opera, there's this style of singing called patter, where composers like Rossini and Donizetti would put in pretty much usually for bass or baritone voice, tons and tons and tons of words. It sounds a lot like rapping on pitch. And to do that, you have to have a really agile tongue. And a lot of singers, opera singers, have to train their tongues to be able to spit the text out fast enough. Thankfully, because I grew up with rap and hip hop, it was a skill that came naturally to me when I started doing that kind of repertoire in opera. But a lot of people have to build it in because they didn't grow up, rapping or learning rap, singing along with rappers. So just a point about the tongue. Tongue, very important. If that's one takeaway from today, the tongue, very important for singing and rapping. And speaking. And a lot of things, really. It's just a tiny thing, but it's like an interesting thing. So I don't know how you all would say every, at least like in English. Every is generally 2 syllables. Every, but she turns it into 3 syllables, and it just adds a little bit of interest. It just makes it to my ear anyway, it just adds a little sprinkle of something interesting. Instead of every every open door. So instead of every open door, that's bum 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 bum. You have every open door. Every open door. So you have a triplet, and then 2 duples, or a triple then a duple instead of duple duple. Bum 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 bum. It just makes it more interesting. I will always flag a nice tasteful riff. What does she do here? Tasteful riffing. Tasteful riffing. Riffing is when you add notes to an otherwise more basic melody. So when you hear her voice kind of moving around, jumping around really quickly, that's called riffing, or it's called runs, or in opera it's called coloratura. blessing.
About what you look for.
Count your blessings.
Count your blessings. About what you look for. Turn my soul into treasure gold. You pay me back in kind of reap just what you sow. Wake up, have it all.
This high C again. So just a very like full, like very chest dominant, really belting at this part of your range. It really is like healthy yelling. It is breath supported yelling with good vocal fold closure. Because most people, when they yell, it's really high. It doesn't sound as high because there's turbulence to the vocal folds, and sometimes the false vocal folds get involved. It almost creates like a subharmonic in a way. Like if you listen to like metal singers, Five Finger Death Punch comes to mind. If you listen to some of that lead when he's singing these big rocky belts, he's actually singing pretty high, but it doesn't sound high because there's so much grit and gravel in the sound that it literally makes it sound lower. But for a trained singer that's going for this style of high belting, good vocal fold closure means that you're not going to have that undertone, and it's just going to be a pretty pure sound. It's going to be a pretty pure sound, so there's not that grit that makes it sound lower. And I have totally lost where I was going with that point originally, so I'll backtrack 5 seconds and see if I find it, and if not, we'll just move on. Yes, healthy yelling. The mechanism, what I was saying is untrained singers or someone just yelling naturally, getting angry at something, is doing it really high, and it's the vocal folds there will be turbulence there. So when you have someone who has trained vocal folds, who is belting, it's the same mechanism as yelling, as a person just yelling, but it's breath supported with good vocal fold closure. But as far as like what the body is doing, very, very similar. So this right here is a great example of just like a big, healthy yell. And that's why it feels so like primal. It feels so powerful because it really is just like yelling. Just it's a controlled version of that. There we go. We finally landed with a point. I literally almost forgot what I was going to say a second time.
Wake up, have it all.
Like, how sick is that?
You had my heart inside of your head, and you played it, you played it, we could have had it all.
Let's go, dude.
Rolling in the deep. You had
I love it. I love it. Yes, just adding our own flair, continuing to add our own flair. Even we've already got more than enough stimulation from this section to stay entertained with the high belting, the changing of the rhythms, the band's going bonkers in the background. Even with that, she just continues to add her own spice to it.
rolling in the deep. You had my heart inside of your hands, and you played it to the beat.
That was incredible. Let's just run it back. Band going insane. That was one hell of a performance. Holy shit. Yo, you guys are introducing me to some like crazy talented singers I just was unfamiliar with. All these Filipino singers are blowing my mind, dude. I know when I looked her up a second ago, because someone suggested it, I saw that she also has some Wish Bus stuff. So I will definitely check her out on the Wish Bus. That has become my favorite place to listen and analyze singers. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you learned something, please definitely do at least subscribe. If you at least subscribe if you learned something new about the voice or about singing or about arrangements, anything like that. And if I added value, my whole goal, if I added value to your listening experience, if you can take some things you learned today and apply them to what you listen to elsewhere, that's my whole goal. I think these singers are so phenomenal, and they deserve people to understand why they're so great. And trust me, it does not take away from the kind of magic of it. It really doesn't. You just get a finer understanding of what they do. And if anything, it makes it even more magical because it becomes more impressive. It's like, me learning the guitar. It's like I was always impressed and amazed by good guitar players, but the more I play, the more I understand just how amazing it is and what makes it so amazing. It's the same thing with singers. So I am really trying to add value. That's my whole goal. If I am adding value, then please do consider joining my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. $1 a month, or if you do it for the whole year, $10.80 for a whole year. For just that first tier, you get early access to all these releases, private access to my Discord server, or access to my private Discord server, life updates and stuff like that, just for $1 a month. And there are tiers all the way up to $100 a month, where you, of course, will get crazy benefits. Definitely check that out. It's the best possible way to support me. Other than that, guys, please, as always, do like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment for the algorithm, hit the bell for notifications if you want to see the next one. And I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis. I certainly enjoyed commenting on it. I'm going to keep making videos for these amazingly talented Filipino singers. And I will see you guys in the next one. So I hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, and peace.